And today I'd like to discuss Kevin Hart's worst crime. You might say, what's wrong with Kevin Hart? Why are we making a video about him? Well, I'm not sure I can articulate all the things that are wrong with Kevin Hart. In fact, I'm sure I cannot articulate all the things that are wrong with Kevin Hart. He's a real Diddy lover, I can tell you that much. I saw some footage of him like emceeing one of Diddy's parties, kind of, and goading everybody there that basically they better be ready for sex stuff, because if they think they're not, this is not that kind of party. So I don't know how deeply he was involved with Diddy, but he certainly seemed to be present at least one, maybe more, of those parties. Hello, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Hello, Winston's mom. But what is Kevin Hart's absolute worst crime? His worst crime is that he's completely fucking untalented. There's no reason for him to be successful at all. It's impossible to understand how he even became successful in the first place. He entered into show business in comedy, but he's painfully, cringily, horribly, disastrously unfunny. How anybody could not understand that is beyond me. Every time I see a commercial with Kevin Hart in it, it makes me want to not buy that product. He should be canceled. He's a Diddy lover. I'm not into cancel culture necessarily, but Kevin Hart's horrible. Regardless, most horrible thing of all is that Kevin Hart has no talent, is not funny, and somehow is successful in show business. Well, he's a Diddy lover, you know? Like, he basically helped Diddy with his parties, at least one of them, more than one, I'm sure, but I've seen footage of him at least one. And I don't approve. But regardless of that, we don't even need to get to Diddy to cancel Kevin Hart. He should be canceled for his abject lack of talent. Every time he appears on screen, he does all of us a little bit of harm. Like, maybe you could eat that old piece of gross fish and be okay, but you don't want to. Same with Kevin Hart. Maybe you can survive seeing him on screen, but you definitely don't want to endure the unpleasantness. He just needs to accept the fact that he has no talent and stop trying to do stuff in the entertainment business. There is absolutely no explanation that anybody can give me that makes any sense as to why that man is successful. It's got to be like he had connections or something, because there's no way that anybody could conceivably find that man funny. He's absolutely terrible at his job. And yeah, sure, he loves Diddy. He's not saying that right now, but he loves Diddy. Evie Outs, hello. Wonderful Horseshoe, hello. There is talent. There's plenty of talent out there. That's why it's so offensive, right? There are myriad people more talented than Kevin Hart who would be better, who would be a better choice to be successful than Kevin Hart. It doesn't make any sense at all. J-Lo, Ashton Kutcher, Jay-Z are ones you hear. I haven't heard Jay-Z. Justin Bieber, I hear of him as a victim, and DiCaprio kind of too, because I guess they were young when they first went there. Kardashians, I haven't heard of them in connection with him. Naomi Campbell, I haven't heard that. But Kevin Hart was definitely a Diddy lover, you know? Like, I mean, he loved Diddy, not that he was having sex with Diddy, although that's certainly plausible, because I guess Diddy just fucked everything that moved. Not anymore. He's going away for a while, man, because he's been charged in federal court with racketeering. That's the worst thing he can possibly be charged with, because if you're the main guy, like Diddy is, what do the prosecutors have to do? They have to establish there are co-conspirators for it to be racketeering. But in order to do that, they have to either indict those co-conspirators or make a deal with them so that they testify against Diddy. What do you think is going to happen? I saw one rapper say, yes, you can bring your girlfriend, but Diddy wants you. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, what I want is for other people besides just Diddy to be held accountable. Like Kevin Spacey, for example. That fucking guy, he's such a scumbag. Ashton Kutcher, I think it's possible. Yes, the Blue Baron, I get it, but I'm not going there, okay? I'm absolutely not going there at any point in this video. Because that's not relevant. What is relevant is his complete abject and disgustingly cringy, horrible lack of talent. He needs to knock it the fuck off. Hi, U.S. government. You've already taken plenty of taxes from me. You already have $4 trillion of our money. When you stop wasting that on nonsense, come talk to me. Yeah. I know. Ashton, not only did he work with Danny Masterson, he and Milo Kunis wrote a letter of support for Danny Masterson to the judge. So Ashton Kutcher, it's also, he's involved in a very suspicious case with a dead woman too, who was like, supposedly, like, he showed up like 30 minutes after she'd been killed, but I don't think anybody's buying it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying it. Michael Caine, that guy's the most overrated actor in the history of acting. Maybe he is. Yeah, Danny Masterson did that. Danny Masterson was guilty of SA and R, but he's in prison now. I'm not sure, because another thing that's surfaced recently that's making the rounds is a previously known about but resurfaced video of Ashton Kutcher laughing about Diddy's parties in some fashion that people find extra sus, I guess. Oh, and did you find oil in your backyard, or did I see something wrong on the camera? I mean clouds. I did not find any oil in my backyard. Danny was married to China Phillips. Yeah, she's filed for divorce. And I read this one thing where it's like this lady had gone back to Danny Masterson's house with her friend, and Danny Masterson's wife apparently at some point in the evening was gonna do his thing that he does, like drugging one of them and raping them or something, but his wife was like, I know what you're doing, you two get out of here, and she like kicked out the two ladies. before anything could happen, and was screaming at Danny Masterson. So, you know, I think it's very inappropriate of people to. I think cancel culture, if it's gonna be fair, if it's gonna be anything, it needs to be fair, right? Like Ashton Kutcher should not be. Well, I mean, I think it probably is. I think it probably is pretty safe. Um, and yeah, Addy, all wows. I already had forgotten about it and what he said. It was like, obviously that's not. He's just either a complete tard or a little kid. That's fine. Everybody can do that all they want with that. It doesn't bother me one bit. How come no one ever makes fun of Ashton Kutcher's last name? Rachel and I were talking about his last name last night, actually. We're saying, I bet Milo Kunis didn't take his last name because who wants to be Coochie? It's like one time I dated before a lady whose last name was Cooter. Right. It is a silly thing to pick on someone for. But it's also the case that Ashton Kutcher, there's plenty of legitimate things to be mad at him about. He seems to be not very picky, and his friends is the best thing you could say about him, right? Like, as far as I know, I'm not friends with any, sex offenders. As far as I know, I'm not friends with any such people. I guess I could not know they're about some dark side of theirs, but it seems very unlikely. When somebody's up to that kind of shit, it's people talk, right? Rumors go around and stuff. So it's like if somebody I know was doing that sort of stuff, if I've known him for a long time, then I would have there would have been chatter about it when we were younger. Maybe presumably somebody's more likely to do that when they're younger, I guess. But I guess we were all a bunch of beta males, but like there was no Diddy level of sex focus in any party I've ever been to, right? Like I've never been to a party where people are having sex all around. I've never been to any party like that. I've never been to anything like a freak off or an orgy or anything like that. If somebody were to inform me that that's what was going to be going on at a party, I definitely would not go. It would be like, ew, I bet that place is gonna stink like pussy and cum. It's the last thing I want to go to. Believe me. I am very squeamish about gross stuff. So I cannot even bring myself to spew on my own wife's face. Why? Because I know as soon as I'm done, it's going to be like, oh my God, it's so gross. I just don't want anything to do with that. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, I can't smell porn, right? They don't warn you about the orgy first. You're obligated to participate, and if you refuse, you're going to lose all the clout you earned and that earned you that spot. Oh, I refuse to participate. And my porn consumption, really, I only consume porn when I'm really gacked out. I got to be on a lot of speed to look at porn. Otherwise, I just have sex with my beautiful wife. I do have a good sense of smell, and I want to smell nothing during sex. Ah, the sweet smell of nothing. I mean, there's no way I could possibly get that deep without doing some shady things uh, to get there, presumably, right? That's the thing, is you're not gonna gradually walk me from less shady to more shady. As soon as something violates my standards, I refuse. There was this guy Nick who was around the channel, and he used to constantly try to do this. He he was kind of a narcissist. I don't mean to throw a term around lightly, but I think it's fair in his case that he certainly was extremely manipulative, blah, blah, blah. But he could never successfully get me to do anything that was wrong, you know? He'd try to walk me towards things. I'd be like, agree, agree, agree. No, that's fucking stupid and horrible. What did Kevin Hart do? Well, his worst crime is his complete lack of talent, Bob Barker. He's a Diddy friend, you know? He's a close, I don't know how close a compatriot he is with Diddy, but he attended those parties, and I saw a clip of him emceeing one of them and basically telling everybody, you better be ready to have sex, because if you think you're not, this isn't that kind of party. It was horrible. But that's not his worst crime. His worst crime is that he's successful, even though he's painfully, horribly, cringily untalented and unfunny. He got into the show business with comedy. I would never do I have very clear lines. I understand exactly where the moral boundaries are. I've done all the moral reasoning already. So there's no way in hell that no matter what happened, that I would that I would be pressured into something that I consider unacceptable or morally wrong or whatever. And I'm right about what's morally wrong, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about, like, well, maybe I have wrong judgment in this instance. In every instance, I showed one joke in Kevin Hart improving it. I mean, the thing is, good jokes are inspired. They aren't crafted, they're discovered. You might be able to work on your delivery, but if Kevin Hart's working on it a lot, then he's trying to be funny without being inspired at all. No, his worst crime is that he's completely untalented. I would never body shame somebody like that. I don't do that. It doesn't matter how much I hate you, I will not body shame you. I will talent shame you. His complete, abject, cringy, unfunny, painful lack of talent is his worst crime. And he needs to be canceled for that, if nothing else. How did he ever get into show business? You shouldn't be able to work your way into show business with comedy. You have to be a genius, you know? You can't just be like the hardest working man in show business if you're not talented at all. Like this guy too, Eric Andre. Get the fuck out of here. You are untalented, not funny at all, painful, cringy, horrible. Get out. Eric Andre, I cannot stand you. Well, look, it's possible with enough makeup, clothing, and training to teach a pig to walk on its hind legs and participate in a beauty contest. That doesn't mean You should. Certainly, the pig shouldn't be rewarded for his, you know, for his beauty. He shouldn't win the beauty contest. Does anyone think with all of his wealth and success that Kevin Hart is punished by God? No, I don't think he's punished by God. I think he's getting away with shit that he shouldn't get away with. Yeah, what do I have to do to be punished like that? Exactly. I would love to have lots of money and be on TV and stuff, but I don't blame Hollywood for not picking me. That makes perfectly good sense. I have done nothing to get Hollywood's attention, and I'm not really Hollywood material. You wouldn't say I look like a leading man anyway. But I would say that for all of those, because I've reading this article saying like there's this whole massive culture in hip hop of what they sometimes refer to as homo thugs. Even though hip hop, it makes perfect sense. Who's most likely to be gay is the person who's most homophobic, right? Well, yeah, I know. But I'm multi-talented. If the world were just some person who's very good at like telling me what to do and that they would be in charge of me and they would make it such that all of my energies produced results rather than just making me laugh or something, making myself laugh or making myself feel like, oh, I played that well or whatever. But I don't blame Hollywood for not picking me because I didn't try hard enough at all to get Hollywood to pick me. But I do blame Hollywood for picking somebody just because they're trying hard. Yes, it's true, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But in the arts, that's not okay. That's definitely not okay, right? Like, art's not about hard work. Art's about talent, and art's about inspiration. Art's about coalescing from the ether some thing that on some level already exists, but you just discovered it, right? Because it's so true. Those are the kind of artists who should be successful in Hollywood. Buddy Cat points out, I can work as hard as I want, but I will never be an NBA basketball player. True. Art is like the lottery. I mean, unfortunately, I think art has increasingly begun rewarding people who work hard in the field rather than people who are talented. It was once the case that, business types would find talented artists and manage them and get a cut of their stuff and whatever, right? That's really not the case anymore. Unless you're already successful, there's no way you're going to get a manager. And unfortunately, like, certain things, there's certain kinds of things that no matter how high quality they are, they just aren't marketable enough. Like, you're never going to find a market for excellent poetry, no matter how excellent it is. And so that's understandable, right? We get that you need to make something to be successful. You need to make something that lots of people like, that's broadly popular. It can't be too niche. If it is niche, it needs to be niche to a fairly large niche market, right? If you're going to make any money off of it. So the thing is, I'm not saying Hollywood should have chosen me instead of Kevin Hart. I'm saying Hollywood should have chosen someone talented instead of Kevin Hart. I'm just like a vomit load of various things. So there's no good way to get a handle on me in terms of creativity and stuff. I'm not talking about me. What's as someone who's been in the arts, I agree with Eric. Sort of like IQ. You can work hard all you want, but a high IQ may supersede your high work. A high IQ makes it impossible for you to work hard. The people making the most money are the hardest working, not the most money. True, Fly Guy. And it is true that the more intelligent you are, the more likely it is that you're going to have trouble with executive function stuff, right? Like pulling the trigger and doing stuff is not is not in your wheelhouse. If you're very smart, like NTP style smart, then what's in your wheelhouse is not what happens after ideas are decided upon, but what happens before. Fly Guy is correct. So it is the case that people who work hard and have a good TE stuff in general, that they know where to set their goals and how to get there. And that's very much a form of intelligence, but it's not what I would call IQ. Of course, the IQ test mixes together two very different things. It mixes together some NITE stuff with like verbal reasoning TI stuff. They're very different things. So I wouldn't trust IQ tests to be a measure of IQ, really. The best measure of IQ is TI, basically. TI and maybe NI. But regardless, if we understand IQ correctly as not including really TE and SE at all, then you're looking at like alpha quadrant, INTPs, ENTPs, and you're looking at maybe like, I guess, INFJs, and I don't know. I think INTJs are very smart, but I think that's because they're very good at knowing how to be smart, right? It's an efficiency thing. Why can't you just sell feet pics on OnlyFans like a normal person? Well, Pete Best, because I don't want to. Hi, James Ortiz. How are you? Do schools still administer? No, I don't think they do. I don't think they administer IQ tests. I'm not sure when they stopped doing that, but yeah, now the popular thing in education is the idea of multiple intelligences. Oh yeah, my feet. I got the feet of an angel, which is to say, my feet have no belly buttons on them. Wow, did he catch that? San Francisco's looking pretty good here against the Lambs. And actually, your example is bad because auto workers can be promoted in the company and construction workers can become foremen, etc. Right. But what should never happen is Kevin Hart being successful. Okay. Because look, if in the arts we reward hard work and efficiency rather than inspiration, we will end up with Dave Matthews. We will end up with Kevin Hart. These people should have no business. Like Dave Matthews should never have gotten within 100 feet of any musical instrument. He has no business playing music even for his friends because it's so terrible. And yet, not only is he able to find a few friends who are willing to sit through a song or two in pain and then say, "That's great, Dave, can you please put it away?" He's got crowds of people attending his concerts. Not okay. You know, not only is Kevin Hart not successfully avoiding making his friends cringe, he's on TV making the world cringe with his total lack of talent. And of course, you know, I think so too, Pete Best, but I'm not going to say that out loud. Okay. Just know this. He's definitely a Diddy friend. Debbie Gibson has more talent than Dave Matthews. I mean, sure. Yeah. Like you could just name anybody. Like Zus T has more talent than Dave Matthews. Why are we taking Kevin Hart? He is super successful. I know that's what I'm complaining about because he has no talent. His worst crime is that he has no talent. Yes, he's a Diddy lover, and he may have been engaged in nefarious things or not. I don't know, right? I'm not making that accusation because I don't know. In the status quo, his worst crime, absolutely, is being successful despite being in every conceivable way undeserving of it. Trouble has more talent than Dave Matthews. I feel bad for folks who are fans of those mediocrities. These poor people just like things for the sake of liking something. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I knew a guy in AA who was somebody who followed Dave Matthews Band around to go see their concerts, like the Grateful Dead or something. Except if you follow the Grateful Dead around to see their concerts, at least when you listen to their horrible music, you were on shit tons of drugs. No, I'm not doing number 3. I don't body shame. I don't know if politicians were hanging out with Diddy or not. I heard an interesting thing. I think it was from Howard Stern, who got invited to one. The topic in general is Diddy and Kevin Hart, FS. Um, so like apparently Howard Stern went to one of Diddy's parties and was like put in like the brown area, like gold level tickets go in here, silver go in there, brown tickets go over there. Was he in Jumanji too? I'm not sure. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me bring this up on the TV. I do have the Niners game on in the background, but I want to make a poll. Oh man, I love that belly flop video. There's this great video of this horrible dive. I have it on my community tab that this guy did at the Tokyo Olympics, I think it was. Who is this you're talking about, Pete Best? They failed the sobriety test and got charged with a misdemeanor. Is it Kevin Hart you're talking about? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to judge anybody too harshly for drunk driving. I'm not going to do that because I used to drive drunk all the time. Never got a ticket or an accident, but I'm not one to judge for that. I will only judge people for things that I'm not guilty of. Cringily? How do you spell cringily? Is cringily even a word? I guess not. Diddy enthusiast. How do I put Diddy enthusiast or cringe level untalented? Those are your two choices. Kevin Hart's worst crime is Diddy enthusiast or cringe level untalented. Those are the. In 2000, he was arrested for simple assault after altercation with Tory Hart. He hit a woman? People who hit girls, I mean, unless the girl is attacking you or something, like, how weak do you have to be as a male to be hitting on girls, like beating up girls? Who does that shit? Who hits women? Oh, so he beat his first wife, whom he had been cheating on a bunch. Okay. Kevin Hart, fuck off. Okay. What are your thoughts on privatization of the VA? I actually don't really generally like public-private partnerships because what it does is it creates businesses like this hospice business that that Medicare paid for my mom. Did we need these hospice people? No, not at all. But was my mother entitled to them via Medicare? Yes. Did I know what I was doing? No. My dad, it's like shortly after my mom got put on hospice, my dad got super sick and then he offed himself, so I had to deal with like what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with this hospice thing? Oh, don't worry about it, the hospice people said. It's not going to cost you anything. Just sign here, and we're going to be helping your mom in her last days. I said, okay. It didn't cost us anything. But of course, it cost the taxpayer something. I was in a mixed up state at the time. I don't really blame myself for not understanding any of that shit, right? The crazy thing is the hospice plan that Medicare has is the same hospice plan that me and my debate coach ran in debate in high school when the topic area was healthcare or something like that. I forget the exact topic area. I want to meet my heroes. I have good heroes though. Like I want to meet Johnny. Who else is a hero of mine? Do I have any other heroes? Who else do I want to meet? I would love to meet like Steve Martin or Martin Short, but I don't know what I'd say to them or anything. I'd just be like, to Steve Martin especially, I'd just be like, you're the single biggest influence in my humor life. Yeah, I've cooled on Dave Chappelle, Winston's mom. I've cooled on him a bit because I don't like his anti-trans stuff. So no groupists are going to be. Yeah, I would love to meet Shea Langoliers. He's not my hero, but I would love to meet Shea Langoliers and have him sign my Shea Langoliers fan club sign. Norm Macdonald was very funny. He was hit and miss, Earlier in his career, I think, in general, I think certain delivery affectations in comedy are ill-advised. So, I mean, I've seen plenty of things from Norm Macdonald that made me laugh a lot. He does interesting things, right? But his delivery is he's got too many of the knows in there. It's kind of an affectation. I don't like that part of it. But I do think that he was very intelligent in his comedy, and I liked it accordingly. Unlike, say, people who try to do intelligent comedy, like that horrible guy who was briefly on Monday Night Football. Hello, William. Yes, I think P. Diddy is a bad person, of course. Of course I do. I saw the video of him beating this woman who was knocking down and kicking this woman who was running in terror from him. I don't think George Carlin's very good. He had a few moments in stand-up comedy, but I don't think he was good. He had the wrong idea is the problem. The best thing that George Carlin ever did was Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, I don't like that kind of smart. Yeah, Dennis Miller, terrible comedian. I don't like George Carlin's comedy. I don't like Richard Pryor or Red Fox's comedy. Will Ferrell is very funny. But the comedian to look to, if you want to be influenced by something that's good, that's not current, is Steve Martin. Because he expressly was too smart to do smart comedy, you know? He did like this no, I don't think it was morally bad. I thought it was not funny. Because look, you don't want to have any agenda in comedy. Trying to make people laugh with political comedy is like trying to put a baby to sleep with a car alarm. Robin Williams, not funny. Ron White, not funny. John Mulaney makes me laugh a lot. I agree, Chris Chapin. He is funny. Although I think he was funnier than he is right now. Some of his stuff's fucking hilarious. No, I really dislike Bill Burr. Not funny at all. Should not be successful. Yeah, Robin Williams style comedy is like running around and acting crazy or something just to get a laugh. It's horrible. Eddie Murphy, he had his moments back in the day, but his comedy hasn't aged well, that's for sure. But some of it has a little bit. Like I like his Gumby stuff on Saturday Night Live. I like Hot Tub, Too Hot. Good stuff, you know. Bill Cosby, no, because he had too much of an affectation, right? It was like, it's just like, stop it, please. Benny Hill, hell no. Well, Pete Best, I can support him doing that because apparently he had gotten a diagnosis of something like dementia or something. Prior to that, I've been confused about that. My father took his own life, and I don't blame him for it at all. Of course, he was 85, very incapacitated in a lot of ways, and his wife was dying of dementia in the nursing home, and shit went very south for him, and I respect his decision to go out on his own terms. So I'm not going to judge somebody for that, except Kurt Cobain. I will judge him for that. And Courtney Love, even though she didn't kill him, he wouldn't have killed himself if she hadn't been part of this thing. Monty Python's hilarious, or was, and it's aged pretty well too. Jerry Seinfeld, not very funny. Adam Sandler, not very funny at all. Not good. Bernie Mac, no, horrible. Well, no, it's not hypocritical because the indication there is if somebody's lived their full life and wants to go out on their own terms, if they got a diagnosis of something terminal, etc., that's one thing. If you're a 27-year-old rock star who's struggling with fame, that's another thing, right? He didn't choose to go out on his own terms. He chose to not deal with an unpleasant present, not deal with an unpleasant present. But even then, I'm not really going to judge somebody for that. Because except myself there have been two such instances in my life. One was in my 30s. It was a childhood friend who was also like 31 or something. And I've lived with a lot of pain and guilt regarding that ever since because I wasn't there for him because he was kind of a mess, you know. It still hurts thinking about it. My dad as well. What hurts is me not being there for him better while my during the last year of their lives and stuff, for the last couple of years. It hurts, you know. But you know, I needed to learn that, you know. Steve Harvey, not funny. Chris Rock, not funny, but I wish him well. Louis C.K. is funny. Louis C.K. is funny. Um, the solution to being married to Courtney Love is not to meow yourself, it's to meow Courtney Love. Obviously. Your Uncle Bob is hilarious. I like Rachel Feinstein. She's very funny. I like Esther Polinsky. Is that her name? She's very funny. What makes Kevin Hart unfunny? I mean, I don't know. What makes a car alarm annoying to listen to? It hurts your ears. It's loud. It's annoying, right? What makes Kevin Hart unfunny? It's like, that's a hard question to answer. What makes a given joke or person unfunny? I don't know. What makes them funny is talent. What makes them unfunny is abject lack of talent. Chris Farley was okay, I guess. Of course, it's fair to call a successful comedian unfunny because Dave Matthews is successful and his music's terrible, right? We can be objective about art. There will be people who have very weak skills in art objectivity and can be convinced that they like stuff that's horrible just by familiarity. SI. SI is a knowledge function that, like, if you're SI dumb, you're going to like things that you've heard before and heard a lot, etc. If you're SI2, it's not an absolute value, so you'll probably listen to a lot of things, but you won't distinguish between things based on what's good or not. Like my dad listened to, he had this huge record collection, etc. But it was all over the map, you know, like it was mostly jazz stuff. He had, well, it wasn't all of it. It was mostly terrible, but he had some good stuff too, you know. And he seemed to like collecting records more than he liked playing them, but he did play music too, you know, in the house. Oh, there's a cute little dragonfly on the plant over there. Dave Chappelle's funny. I don't think he is anymore, but he was. Dave Chappelle's talented. He's also a groupist who doesn't like trans people. Or feels like it's fair. They count as fair game. But that's unfortunate, you know. There's some mistakes you can't make. And retain my overall respect. Like he lost my respect as an intellect, right? Not as I still have the same respect for previous work that was good. But now I think he's just like, you know, whatever. John Belushi, no. No, thank you. John Candy was a good actor and a very, maybe still is, maybe he's still alive. I don't know. But I don't think he was particularly funny. Like, Martin Short was funny sometimes. Steve Martin has a cleaner sheet than just about anybody I can think of. Fewest mistakes. I think he's an INFJ, Steve Martin. No, I mean, William, everyone's fair game. I'm not saying they should be punished for making bad jokes or for making basically groupist, hateful jokes. Like, I could make a bunch of jokes about fat people. I don't think I should be canceled. Like, you should get in trouble. I should be canceled for it. I just think it's artistically the wrong decision. Am I hiding from someone? No. What are you talking about? Phil Hartman was great. Phil Hartman was a genius. His wife murdering him was one of the great tragedies of our time. And it was so sudden, you know? It wasn't just the death of Phil Hartman. It was also the death of Troy McClure, right? And so many other characters you know about. No, I'm not saying nobody should joke about fat people. I'm saying the good artists won't, right? Because they're too good at their art to make that mistake. Someone said John Candy. I'm not saying anyone's not fair game. People can make jokes about whatever they want. And if it's funny, fine. So, for example, I don't think it's a good idea to make jokes about deaf people. And yet, but I'm a fake deaf person. I can give you everything a real person they can, but I can hear you. And see, that's a good joke. It's sort of about deaf people, but it's really about a character. It's a smart layer joke, right? It's about a character who thinks it's fine to be a fake deaf person because he can do the voice better than they can. I often tell him, you're doing the voice wrong. Right? Yes, everything can be joked about. What I'm saying is to be funny is a different question than to be joked about, right? I'm not saying it should be not allowed or it's not possible or no one should ever joke about whatever they want to joke about. I'm saying it has to be funny first, or else that's not going to fly, right? No, I don't think anybody anymore thinks Jerry Seinfeld is funny. But there was a time when his humor was, adequate to win over an audience that was happy to eat, kind of like warmed up mid. Jerry Seinfeld at least wasn't like Dave Matthews Band or Kevin Hart unfunny. He just didn't have very many good ideas. He didn't have a lot of good ideas. He had some. And his delivery style and his approach to comedy, it didn't give him a whole lot of room. I think he's one of the smartest comedians in terms of executing his career. He quit Seinfeld at exactly the right time, and it had already become painfully unfunny. The charm of it only lasted about a season for me, but other people were a little slower than that. Larry David, he's all right. Oh, Rachel's up. Hi, Rachel. Yeah, I don't think Larry David's especially funny. But the key takeaway from this video is that Kevin Hart is a comedy disaster from start to finish. He is not funny. He should never become successful. Somebody here suggested, and I am not suggesting this, that maybe he chicken-headed his way to the top. I don't know. Maybe he did. Apparently, somebody says he's been unfaithful to his wife multiple times, was arrested for assaulting her after he'd been like cheating on her constantly all the time. Well, and by constantly all the time, I mean more than once. Okay? So maybe that's his worst crime. I don't know. But the message of this video is his worst crime is his abject lack of talent combined with his success. I don't mind it if somebody's not talented, right? You can be as untalented as you want. I don't give a fuck. Just don't be successful in a field in which you obviously notably lack talent. So, let's say, I'm really untalented at video games. But I like doing it anyway sometimes. But guess what? I'm not a video game professional player. I'm not a professional video game player. It's like, what's something somebody's really not good at? It's like, do we all agree that Taylor Swift shouldn't next make a rap album? Not that her current albums are any good, but do we at least agree that she should not make a rap album? Why? Because you don't want, look, things people make that become successful or well known anyway, in some sense become part of the canon of humanity, the total amount of art that humanity's made, etc. We don't want to dump radioactive waste in our canon. We don't really want to have the Dave Matthews Band. It's a blemish on our record as a species, right? We don't want to have Kevin Hart as a representative of our artistic production because it's a blemish on our species, because it's terrible. The good news is, once they stop working hard, untalented people, immediately their work gets lost to history because nobody likes it. Nobody's still playing Jessica Simpson's albums, but people still play Britney Spears' songs. And the difference is talent, right? Jessica Simpson was untalented. She was an attractive blonde lady with big tits who had decent pitch. That's not what should make you successful in the music business. So when she became successful at this sort of corporately whatever constructed, like, let's make a fake version of authenticity which sells. Authenticity seems to sell, so let's make a fake version of that. It's like it's that kind of like corporate-y garbage, art by committee. Of course, nobody can sing any Jessica Simpson songs anymore. Nobody can even remember what they're called or anything about them. The only thing I remember about Jessica Simpson is when she thought chicken of the sea tuna was actually chicken. That's basically the only thing I remember about her. I remember she was blonde, she had big tits, and she thought tuna was chicken. Now, Kanye is talented. I totally understand why he's successful. Doesn't mean I like everything he's done, etc., but he's very talented. He should be successful. Yeah, Taylor Swift is slowly turning into Madonna a little bit in the sense of Like, I'm going to be in the music industry till I'm old and cranking out music, more music than I have remotely have the talent to make. Taylor Swift, she had like a double album recently. Probably only had 3 tracks that were worth even being filler on an album. Who knows? If you're looking for funny stuff, then stand up is the last place on earth to go to. Well, I'm not looking for funny stuff. I'm looking for good comedy, right? So there's a difference. Do I want to go to a stand-up comedy establishment? I would normally say no, but I actually went to one whenever, and I saw this kind of famous guy with Rachel and Corey. I forget what his name was, but he was hilarious, actually. He was hilarious. But I mean, the point is, I'm looking for I'm looking for funniness, right? I'm looking for good stuff, wherever it may be. You can't find it. There's no place to go for it, right? There's no place where if you just go here, everything will be funny there. That's not how it goes, right? You got to pick around everywhere and find the occasional funny person among the dross. Trump is funny, straightforward, Kamala's humor was to come. Well, I mean, no, I'm connecting funny stuff to comedy. Man, John, yeah, just stick to writing fortune cookies, please. We don't have any rules for how to be funny, but we have some rules about how to not be funny. So if you are going to do political humor, you are not funny. If you are doing angry humor, you are not funny. Just stop it. Okay? Those are about the only 2 rules I can think of. Oh, I guess if you're doing groupist stuff, it's probably a mistake, but not necessarily, depending on how you're doing it. You should try to keep shit out of your comedy that's too topical or current eventsy, right? Because good stuff ages well. Good comedy ages least well of all media, probably. Music ages most well of all media. That's why we still put like the Moonlight Sonata in a cartoon I was just watching and finished, called an excellent cartoon, by the way, called The Eminence in Shadow. The Eminence in Shadow. It's on Hulu. Anyway, the main character, the Moonlight Sonata, he plays it on the piano, and it plays a role in the story, etc. Manu, John, it's absolutely the case that funniness is around me, and I can create my own funniness. It's not around you, though. And I know I can create my own funniness. I'm talking about finding other people and their talent and being able to just determine the gems, and not have to encounter too much of the garbage. Like Saturday Night Live skits there's some very funny ones. But if you were to say what percentage of Saturday Night Live skits are funny, it's probably, in the history of Saturday Night Live, no more than like 1%, probably. He's got to find the good ones, right? Yeah, well, the thing is, funniness doesn't exist outside of somebody being funny, right? Like I can go outside and make something funny, like laugh at something that I see or whatever that happens to amuse me. But it's not the case that if I walk around my house outside, that I will encounter several comedians making a joke and have the opportunity to see if that's funny or something. And that's not how it works. So while you could say stand-up comedy is not a good place to find a high percentage of people who are funny, it's also the case that you're likely to find the same to be true in every other population. Funniness is a rare phenomenon. Good jokes don't come around every day. They're not the result of any work, right? They're always the result of inspiration. You might need to hammer out some of the bugs of a joke. For example, Ruben made a good joke the other day, which I think he probably read somewhere. And me and Ruben and Rachel, he said the joke is this: what happens after a robot's first after a robot has a one-night stand? He nuts and bolts. And I said, no, it should be what happens at the end of a robot's one-night stand. He nuts and bolts. And then Ruben made the best. How does a robot end his one-night stand? He nuts and bolts. So you could work on a joke like that to try to refine it into as few words as possible, which is generally the best idea to do. But no, I'm not saying Larry David was funny. I never said that. Norm Macdonald is funny, but he'd be like every comedian. He's better served to have actual jokes than to try to be funny with an affectation of delivery, right? If you think about Emo Phillips, he's an old stand-up comedy guy. He actually had a lot of good jokes, but he had this huge affectation to his delivery that hasn't aged well at all, and accordingly, he's kind of been forgotten to history. Why is Swift so extremely famous? You know what? Your guess is as good as mine. I do not know. It's like she made that first album. It had a couple good songs on it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. She's pretty good. I like her. And then what happened? Trouble, don't eat that. Oh, God. He's got a dead lizard. Oh, what? Don't eat that. Okay. I don't want to see him eating it. Get away from that. Go. Get away. Get. God damn it. I'm wearing my underwear. I'm outside, but I'm in my boxers. There, I flung it over there. So sorry if you had to see my boxers. I had to get rid of that dead lizard. You know, if you let your cat eat a dead lizard, it's just going to puke it up on the carpet later. No, that lizard was already dead. He found a dead lizard. If he was getting, if I see him getting a lizard that's still alive, I will see the lizard if I can from him and let it go someplace, Oh, I have to go around. Trouble's a very bad kitty, but I love him a lot anyway. He's just a pain in the butt. He's very territorial and tries to force Capillo to go certain places and not other places. He tries to control the space with our other cat. But I just love him so much anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Even though we try to stop him from bullying his sister as much as possible. I will yell at him and run over to him and say, yeah, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
He knows he shouldn't be doing it, right?
Yeah.
And he looks to see if we're looking before he does it sometimes and stuff. It's just you dick.
Yeah, such a dick.
She's managed by the executives that run the label well. I think that might be a good explanation for Swift's ongoing success. Swift accurately knows what to make public and what to make private. Well, I mean, she is running a very successful image campaign, however it's being done. I'm not sure, but obviously she's like America's royalty. She should run for president. I'd rather have her than Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Highest grossing comedy tours of 2023. Joe Coy, not funny. Adam Sandler, not funny. Sebastian Maniscalco, never heard of him. Taylor Tomlinson, never heard of him. Peter Kay, never heard of him. Nate Bargatze, never heard of him. Oh, you got to be 35, right? Forgot about that. We're not allowed to have any young presidents. I think that's fair. 35, seems like a fair age to make for a minimum for president. No, I heard both of those names multiple times through this. Oh, you're looking at the list on Winston's mom links? Taylor's net worth is $1.3 billion. Well, good for her. Good for her. A little pump. You mean that guy who sings a bunch of drug addicts in here? Something like that? I know. I think I know what. I have a song of his that used to be on. I don't know why he left the playlist. I like that song. Remember that song by, I think it was Lil Pump? We used to listen to?
What was that?
It was like this song like, I got a bunch of drug addicts in here or something.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Lil Pump. Let me see. Oops. I'm going to put DRUG. Yeah. I want to put this back on our playlist, actually. I like this song. I don't have to. Okay, it goes muted. Oh, I need to be TWFP to successfully meow the meow. Save. I'm saving this to chat tracks. I'm going to mute this for a second because I want to hear this song again for a second. I love that track. It's fantastic. That's a really good track.
It is.
Bieber cried for Diddy. Don't cry for Diddy now, Bieber.
Bieber cried for Diddy? That's so odd.
Well, Kevin Hart Kevin Hart's biggest crime is not that he's rich. I have no problem with that. It's that he got rich via comedy, entertainment industry stuff.
He's huge.
He has no talent.
And people still like him. I mean, he's still in commercials. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, he's constantly in commercials. But he's a huge Diddy enthusiast,
Yeah, I know. I actually didn't know, but I could see it.
His club full of drug addicts. So Yeah, it's a good song, right? It's a good track.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. Show you how to live life. Do a lot of drugs, don't think twice. It's a funny song too. And he, it really speaks to me. I I agree with him, you know. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying, well, Palm's really speaking my language. I can't drink alcohol anymore. Of course, he also includes alcohol in there. But
I think he would understand if
I think
you
he,
take other drugs.
yeah, I think he'd understand if I had to skip the alcohol.
Yeah, like I would smoke weed with him.
You know what? I think I would not be unwilling, provided it were like if it were in this environment and it were just you, me, and him, or you, me, and him and his woman or whatever. I would be willing to take acid with him. I don't think you'd be willing to take the acid, but I'd be willing to take acid with.
I would take ecstasy if he had.
Oh yeah, we don't have any. Maybe he probably has good connections. He'd probably have all the drugs.
Probably good stuff too.
Lil Pump, you are invited to our house. As long as you bring good drugs with you.
And we're not afraid of ketamine here.
We're not afraid of what?
Ketamine here, so he could definitely bring some of that.
Oh yeah, ketamine. Yeah, please do, Lil Pump, when you come to visit our house. Lil Pump seems a little gangster for me, but you know what? As long as it's just a couple of people, I figure I can handle it.
I feel like you would get along with him.
And we'd find a lot of common ground, you know? I'd say, hello, Lil Pump. Free drugs are illegal, but paid drugs are legal. Free drugs are a myth. I mean, you can get some free drugs sometimes if you hang out with the right people, right? But those drugs weren't free. You just got hooked up. Kamala needs to he's talking about terrible people. Prosecutors. Oh my God. She's horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. She's almost bad enough to make me vote for Trump. Make me vote and vote for Trump.
Well, it's starting to, like, her not answering anyone's questions is really starting to frustrate people.
That's good. Rapper Kanye West and his wife were spotted in their Tesla Cybertruck as they were mobbed by Trump supporters outside of a Trump rally. Mobbed like, hooray, you're here! I think that must be what it is. Because Kanye seems to, at least, I mean, he has some kind of interesting perspectives on things, let's just put it that way. But he's being controlled by a CIA handler, in my opinion.
He's not mentally stable. Like, he has been mentally stable for years now.
I believe, and this may sound crazy, that he's being controlled by a CIA handler.
What do you mean?
Like the CIA is using him as an asset in some fashion. Because if you look at the text messages that his supposed like personal trainer sent him when he was kind of losing his shit, that's not the way somebody who works for you talks to you at all. That's not the way somebody who engages with you in a healthy fashion talks to you at all. Like,
I believe it, but like, why does he have a CIA handler so that he doesn't do that shit?
Well, I mean, I think that most of the time when the CIA is engaged with some media personality, which I think CIA does engage with a variety of media personalities. And I think their basic message is this. You have a pulpit here, a large audience. Would it be okay if every once in a while we asked you to include meow in your thing? And if you don't like what meow is, then say no. But if you agree with what we want you to put in, then could you put it in? That way, that's the way most media people are dealt with via CIA. Is that there's little subtle relationships where basically anybody who has a big audience could very well be contacted by the CIA, an American, who might appeal to their patriotism and say, hey, we could use your help. Hey, could you please take that out of this video? Or could you please put this in? I suspect by and large, the CIA understands that it gets much more flies with honey than with shit. However, Kanye, if it's not a CIA handler, how in the world does somebody that successful have such toxic underlings who are basically obviously abusing him?
Yeah.
How would that happen? Right? Like, I don't imagine Kanye being the type of person who would normally let like his personal trainer talk to him like he's a bitch, you know? Like he's his just I don't know.
I don't know either. That's interesting. I had never heard that before. I mean,
An indictment alleges a media company like the 6 conservative influencers, including Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson, were duped into working for Russia. Well, who's they? Who's repeating the same trip? The right wing keeps attacking Harris, not giving interviews, but she is. No, she does do interviews. She doesn't answer any questions or say anything that means anything. And when she does say something that means something, it's completely fucking wrong. It's not, look, we're not asking her to give responses to things. We're asking for her to answer questions at the question asked. She should know she's a prosecutor, right? She understands what a deposition is. If she asks me a question in a deposition and I don't answer it, she's going to cut me off and say, can you please answer the question asked? So she's knowingly, willfully doing this. Right? I mean, it's unfortunate that people were duped into working for Russia in some fashion. But like, for example, I'm correct about everything. So there's no way anybody can dupe me into doing anything, right? Because they say, can you say these things or believe this thing? I'm not going to say it things definitively at all, unless I have rock solid proof. And I'm smarter than anybody who would try to manipulate me, right? So we don't have to worry about that with me. They might be able to fool me with like fabricated evidence, and if they put a big effort like that, right? But I have the appropriate level of skepticism. The thing is, when I say Kamala Harris is awful, Winston's mom, remember, I am correct. She is absolutely awful. Well, at least Trump didn't make a career of ruining people's lives, regardless of whether they committed an actual crime. That's what Kamala made her career on. Ruining people's lives to the maximum extent she could, regardless of whether they committed an actual crime. That's what prosecutors do. That's certainly what she did. She obviously has no morals, or else she'd answer questions. By choosing not to answer questions, and given that she's a prosecutor, she knows when and where a question has been answered or not, right? She is willfully deceiving the American public in hopes that she'd be elected without expressing what she actually thinks. Trump says idiotic things, believes idiotic things, but he says what they are. So you can vote for a person who you know what you're going to get, right? Kamala, the only thing I know about her policies is that she's expressed the desire to double the federal government's tax revenue. I mean, who could possibly think that's a good idea? The federal government is one of enumerated powers. It's supposed to be the governing body of the states. We spend 10 times more than all other nations combined on our military. We have disastrous, failing social programs that are just rife with fraud and abuse. We've got people pulling down $2,000 checks a month because they're disabled. For what? And what we learned in this disability process with Rachel and went through some of this stuff is that the key is to just build a big enough file. In other words, if you keep reapplying for disability and building a thick enough file of papers, eventually you'll get your disability checks every month. Now, if you're an American and I were to say to you, Winston's mom, I'd like you to pay $2,000 a month for Joe to stay home because Joe's disabled. I'm going to take $2,000 from you directly per month. You would not be okay with that. Nobody would be okay with that. So we should realize that that's exactly what's happening, right? Those things have to stop. We do not need more tax revenue. We need less spending and less tax revenue. The federal government needs to do less, not more. That's correct, okay? You can put it in the bank, Winston Baum. Remember when you were wrong about COVID and I was correct? Same thing here. You can put it in the bank. It is a terrible fucking idea to double the amount of tax revenue the federal government gets and have the federal government do twice as much bullshit. It already does way too much. Yes, well, no, Trump did not approve guns for mentally disturbed people, okay? He said he does not approve of taking gun rights from this additional population that you want to take gun rights from, which is the correct position. Mentally disturbed, huh? So would you say that my wife should not be able to own a gun because she has bipolar mania? Is that what you're advocating for? Manu John? In other words, Trump fought for Rachel's rights. Good for him. Mentally disturbed? What? That's not a real term, right? You mean people with a mental illness? Do I think people with mental illness should be allowed to own guns? Of course. Just because, do I think people with a physical illness should be allowed to own guns? Of course. I mean, we already have a rule where felons can't.
If Kamala Harris can have a gun in her house, then I mean, most everyone else should be.
Why have a gun if you fail to use it for the reason your founding fathers allowed you? My founding fathers did not allow me to have it simply because they needed me for the militia, right? The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay? We do infringe it, some, but fortunately, regardless of what you think, the Supreme Court has upheld the individual's right to own a firearm. And in fact, firearm owning and usage is very common where I live. I've never felt safer in my life. I have a gun. I don't use it at all. Why do I have it? That's none of your business. It's my right to have it for whatever fucking reason I want to. No, I mean, obviously, I'm in favor of the orderly transition of power, right? I'm not saying Trump's a great choice. Trump's a horrible choice. But Kamala is even worse. That's right, Manu John. And I don't need a reason to keep it. I have a gun because I feel like it. So fuck off. That's what a right means, idiot. It means that's my business, not yours. Get it? We can't live in a world where you have to justify why you need something to have the right to have it, right? Like, I'm gonna get a chainsaw. Well, why are you gonna get a chainsaw? Are you gonna play Chainsaw Massacre? Oh, you play. Are you gonna play Chainsaw Massacre? You don't need to know why I'm getting this fucking chainsaw. Okay? Just sell it to me. Oh, you're getting an axe. What are you planning to do? Chop up people? You don't need to know what I'm getting an axe for. Shut the fuck up. Just sell me the axe.
I mean, I don't like to bring it up. I don't like to, but like your dad was able to get a gun easily, like so easy. We had no idea.
He had multiple guns in the house.
Yeah, and we had no idea.
But why shouldn't he have been able to get a gun?
No, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it can be done easily.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody's doubting that it can be done.
Like, it's easy.
Mick Jagger's girlfriend is not concerned about the couple's 44-year age difference.
What?
Wow.
Is this like a trend?
That's a big age gap.
But that's like the same. It's almost the same as what's his name?
Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin's got a young girlfriend too.
Who?
Lane Kiffin is the coach for Ole Miss.
Oh, really?
He used to be the coach of SC. Defending with a gun is naturally an offense.
No, it's not.
I mean, yes, when you use a gun to defend yourself, you are using deadly force, but it's not. In other words, I'm not going to allow only you to play offense in order to victimize me. And so that means, yes, I've decided to shoot you because you're attacking me and I feel I've got no other choice. Obviously, at that point, you're going on offense, right? And that's what you should do. Because what matters is he's the aggressor and he's violating your rights.
I just think that there should be gun safety somehow. Like, I don't want to shoot a gun without knowing how to shoot a gun.
Well, yeah. Well, people should be careful with guns, etc. No, they're not naturally offensive. They represent the individual's capacity to go on offense when in instances of self-defense. They also give one the capacity to shoot turkeys, etc. That's neither offense nor defense. It's hunting. The good thing is, Winston, Mom, we don't want a president who has a legislative agenda, right? He's running for the chief executive, not for a legislative slot. So we don't need to worry. A president should not come in with plans of what to do. Maybe with plans of what to undo. That's not a terrible idea. But they're not the legislature. They don't get to write bills and shit. Everyone's so interested in the president's legislative agenda. Why? And think about, I'd rather hear nothing from Trump than doubling tax revenue from Kamala. Surely you're not, you don't think that's a sane notion, do you? The doubling tax revenue? It's not a sane notion. No, don't free Diddy. I hope that fucker rots in prison for a long time. Yeah, the federal government should not be involved in healthcare. It should not. We shouldn't have any of these horribly unconstitutional and overwrought federal involvement in everything. It's ridiculous. You're grateful you had insurance, right? And if your insurance plan was subsidized in some way by the government, or well, fine, but the thing is, the insurance, you could always get insurance plans without anything to do with the government. So, oh, you have military healthcare. Okay, well, that's different. That's totally different, Winston's mom. Okay. I'm not talking about the federal government shouldn't be involved in medical stuff for the military. Of course it should. It's the federal government's express enumerated power to deal with the military stuff, right? I mean, I have seen a lot of stories in the newspaper around here of things happening to people, around the world or whatever. It doesn't even need to be around here. Bad things happening to people. And a lot of different ways people can hurt other people. So the good news is we have a constitutionally protected right to bear arms here in the United States. So people can be as wrong as they want about it. It's protected. And the good news is we don't need to justify owning a gun as a natural right in the United States because it's an expressly protected right in the Bill of Rights. So, the same people who want to get rid of guns also think it's a good idea to lock everybody in their house during COVID because, after all, safety first.
What
autonomy first.
What should be done with the problems of school shootings?
You mean youth prison camp shootings? We should stop making school mandatory. We should stop subsidizing. We should stop having public schools. It's an archaic remnant of farming days gone by. Individuals, if you want to pay for people's kids to get educated, give them vouchers for individuals to purchase like a la carte. I get this guy to teach my kids science, that guy to. If you feel the need to make it required because you don't want uneducated children or something, we could still figure out some way to do that. But the worst possible thing we can do is continue the current status quo system where we force a bunch of children to go to this building away from their home for 6 hours a day and teach them all the same stuff, regardless of who they are, what they want, what they're good at, what they're bad at. It's a fucking nightmare. So, well, that's true, Undy. If the United States were to get rid of guns entirely, presumably it would get rid of school shootings and other kind of shootings, right? There's zero chance that you're going to take away 300 million plus guns from all of these Americans. Who's going to take them away, right? Like, are you going to come with your gun and say, I can have a gun so that I can take away your gun?
No, that's not going to go over well.
That's not going to go over well. And it drives home the point. Somebody's going to have guns, so I should get to have one too. It's not okay for just this elite populace of special people to have guns. Because what happens in that instance is not good. Step one, get rid of the Department of Education. Step two, do something, anything, whatever we can to get rid of teachers' unions, for sure, absolutely. Any public work, people who work for the public should not be able to unionize because they don't have an interested management to negotiate against. In other words, there's no bottom line, right? There's no real need for people making the decision on the side of the public to say, well, if you're gonna push for this, then and we have to do this, then the business goes bankrupt and we're out of business and we all lose our jobs. That's not in the cards for the public, right? The public can't say that. So accordingly, people should not be able to unionize for public jobs. What's Project 2025? Step one, get rid of DOE. I mean, that's just a great idea, right? Centralized education is a fucking clusterfuck of disaster. I don't care who it comes from. We don't need to worry, Winston's mom, where a good idea comes from. We just need to acknowledge that it's correct and good. And that's true left and right. I will do that in every instance. Left, right, center, whatever. If a good idea is good, it doesn't matter where it came from. Now, I reject Project 2025 because why? Because it's groupist. And I also acknowledge that it doesn't matter who says a good idea, right? We definitely should get rid of the Department of Education. There's no successful argument that can convince any sensible person that it's within the federal government's purview. The federal government is one of enumerated powers.
Yeah, but, after you.
Go for it. Yeah, it's like I've been saying all kinds of great things for years. Like I've been saying get rid of the Department of Education for years too. I mean, it's something I harp on a whole bunch, but when it comes up, I've said that multiple times in the past before I ever heard Putty Cat say it or anything about Project 2025 or anything like that. Manny John. You're fun. I enjoy you, Manny John. You say some things. You do.
My goal today is to get high.
That's a good goal.
Thanks.
Yeah, Homeland Security. Horrible idea, right? Nope. Republican, right-wing president put together Homeland Security. Patriot Act, horrible idea. I oppose them vociferously with all of my might. What am I doing?
I think you're putting a goals together for yourself.
I thought it was big for you.
Oh, that's good.
Because it was your goal to
might
get
a little
high.
Cloggy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your goal to get high. Okay, let me unclog this. Here, you talk to people for a little bit. We'll depoliticize for a moment. The point is, we need to stop thinking that the group can make better decisions for people than the people themselves. That doesn't work out. We just need to acknowledge that.
Happy Saturday. I don't follow politics, so I feel like I'm not really I can't talk about politics really. I know what I believe in and like what are problems, but I kind of I was listening to this tarot reader, which is funny because like what I feel like I need to change has to do sort of with like metaphysical stuff, and tarot is one of those things. But the tarot reader was saying that if you have a problem, there's like something that you're practicing that you have a problem with. And I was like, oh my God, like I was doing a lot of Chinese astrology readings lately, like doing the Bazi, like 4 pillars chart compatibility stuff, and like it made me so upset that I was like, I can't do it anymore. I just have to take a break. Like I find it fun. I research that sort of stuff all the time. That's why I'm on my phone most of the time. I'm like Googling, the Japanese Kua number. But when it doesn't like give me results I want, I get upset, and that's stupid. Trump has already understood that he's going to lose, so he is already looking forward to 2028.
He's not going to run in 2028. He's too old.
Some people said that Trump is quietly quitting. But I don't really know. I haven't followed really any. I haven't followed much. I just saw some some clips of Kamala at the Oprah Winfrey interview and heard about the assassination attempts on Trump. That's all I know. So I'm like really not into, I care about human rights, but someone said that after the first attempt that he was shot, the first assassination attempt, that he was obsessively watching the tape of it over and over again.
I probably would too.
Right?
If I got shot like that, I probably would too. I'd be like,
course.
oh my god, I almost
so
died.
Freaked out, yeah.
The thing is, it's conceivable that state governments might have some leeway in terms of making firearm laws, but what's abundantly clear is that federal firearm restrictions do zero good, right? So if in fact we could resolve school shootings, public shootings, or whatever with gun regulation, then why haven't any of the myriad existing gun laws done that already? I mean, it's good. The National Rifle Association is doing a good job of lobbying in favor of gun rights in every instance, even when there are some instances maybe where we should restrict it. Because by and large, every attempt at a gun regulation is predicated on a false premise, right? It's predicated on the idea that by making it harder for people to be bad, people will be less bad. But in reality, by restricting people's autonomy, you're making them more likely to be bad. You're making, what's the surest way to infuriate somebody who's already infuriated? Tell them that because they were once diagnosed as depressive, they can't buy that handgun they want to buy. Okay, but they could still buy a shit ton of gasoline and a lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when the person wants to,
they can still plow their car into a crowd of bystanders.
Sure, you can put your head in a fucking oven.
Well, I'm talking about doing damage to others.
Oh, my bad.
They could still park their car on a train track, derail a train. So we cannot reasonably expect to stop people from being bad by taking away things they can use to be bad. It's inherently an insane idea, okay? No, this does not mean I think that you should be able to buy a nuclear weapon or something. No, I don't, because weapons of mass destruction have there's no use for them that doesn't kill innocents, right? Like, you cannot defend yourself in a way that kills innocents. That's not okay. England has a knife problem. I mean, in every instance, we have a violence problem.
Yeah.
And violence is a problem because, in part, people are abused either in various ways throughout their life, and some people freak out about it in the wrong way, right? But the thing to remember is the best thing we can all do to stop gun violence is to be good to people, be good to everybody. And if everybody experiences people being good to them, then nobody's so disaffected in such ontological distress as to want to murder a bunch of people.
Why? See, like, I feel like this is an impossible question, but like, why would someone want to murder kids? Not that anyone should be murdered.
I mean, like, basically, I wasn't allowed to have a good childhood, so you're not you're not allowed to let your children have good children. Probably anger at the parents who, in place of his own parents, one would imagine. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
But I do know that we're not going to stop people from being abused at school until we stop having mandatory education, or at least mandatory education that makes you go to a place.
Yeah. I think that's totally accurate. It's unfortunate, but it's going to continue to be a problem until schools break down.
I mean, I know bullying is not as bad now as it used to be, probably, but I can recall things I won't even talk about, not done to me, but to the other people when I was in school, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the sort of stuff that scars people for life, maybe turns them evil or whatever. There's this Korean show that I won't watch. I don't remember. It's a thing called Glory. And it's about this kid in Korea who is a victim of a lot of bullying. And then when they grew up, I think it was a girl, but maybe it was a guy. He went and killed all of their bullies, one after another. So, it's like, how in the world are we okay with forcing children, or at least equipped to deal with such stuff, to be in an environment where that stuff happens and not allow them any alternative?
I don't even really like teasing.
Yeah, I don't like teasing either.
It feels passive aggressive. I mean, I'm not.
Well, you and I are both very meaning based, right? So
Yeah.
We don't agree with using language for those reasons.
Yeah, no, I don't.
If it's not guns, it'll be knives. If it's not knives, it'll be rocks. It is true that you cannot open fire on a crowd full of people with rocks. I mean, you can throw some rocks at people, but you're not going to get very far with a mass shooting with rocks. Yeah, kids can certainly be quite brutal to one another.
Yeah, they can.
And accordingly, we need to stop just saying, you must all of you who are the same age are forced to be together. Children need to be able to have autonomy too, to escape to a safe place when they want to. It's ridiculous. Nobody should be forced to go to school for 6 hours a day without being paid for it at all, on the grounds that it's for their own good. It's fucking horrible. Do you still think January 6th was good for us? I don't think anybody thinks January 6th was good for us. I'm assuming you're talking about the so-called insurrection. I mean, Trump, in that context, obviously has an obligation to prioritize peaceful transfer of power over his make-believe, his willingness to believe anything that suggested that he actually won the election, it was stolen from him. There was zero good reason to think that. There was lots of good reason to think he was going to lose. Just as there's good reason to think he's going to lose this time, although hopefully, people, there are enough people with enough intuition to get what's so horrible about Kamala that Trump will win,
I'm
hopefully.
scared though that like women's rights will be taken away even more.
I mean, I agree. I hate Trump. I don't want him to be president. I'm almost for sure not going to vote at all. But the thing is, I think Kamala's even more dangerous.
I think she's extremely dangerous. I don't like what she's done as a prosecutor. And what she's done as a prosecutor is something that she brings up in interviews and she's very proud of. That makes me scared. I'm like, what? Like, why are you being this way?
She's proud of putting people away for drugs. I don't doubt that hypocritically she does drugs herself. Hey, they may not be the same drugs she puts people away for, but she had no intuition. There's nothing wrong with peaceful protest, Puttycat. There is something wrong with the President of the United States not expressly saying to everybody, we are prioritizing here the peaceful transition of power. I lost the election, fair and square. He did, obviously. He has an obligation to say that. Not to encourage people in their fantasies that somehow the election was stolen. So, Trump's horrible. Women's rights aren't going to go back any under Trump because Trump's president and he's not really any. It doesn't work like that. Like there's nothing he can do that would be a step back for women's rights.
Didn't he choose when people died in the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court justices. Is that who they are?
Oh, you mean won't he be able to appoint a Supreme Court justice?
Yeah, he can do that stuff.
He might be able to support a Supreme Court justice if a Supreme Court justice retires or dies during his term.
And they did twice. 2 people died while he was president, and he elected, or he got 2 old farty schmarty, maybe 1 smarty farty.
Well, the federal government shouldn't have anything to do with women's rights at all, really. I mean, it's like
I know, right?
it shouldn't have anything to do with abortion or reproductive rights at all.
It's just
So I think I think Trump understands that too. Like I don't think he's trying to. You think he's going to try to get federal legislation passed to restrict women's rights or something?
I don't think he cares about women's rights. So
No, I don't think he does either. But I don't think there's any issue other than abortion that's at stake, really.
No, I mean, that is the only thing at stake right now. I mean, I don't know. I'm not very well versed on this stuff, but it's just really bad right now. Because I don't like Kamala either. It's like, are you kidding me, bitch? Like, are you fucking serious what you're saying? Like, you sound like you don't have a plan. You have no plan. You're just like, oh, I'm going to win and then I'll figure it out.
I'm choosing lightning, Jeremiah Fix. Yes, Trump is full of shit all the time, but not because he's lying. It's because he has 4th slot NI and TI tool. He trusts his intuition and has no objective deliberation to double check it. So he's totally full of shit all the time. But he's not proud of putting people away in jail for drugs. And, you just really can't get over that one. Can't get past that one. She's proud of her role as a drug warrior in the drug war. She's proud of it. So, in other words, she is evil. What's IVF treatment? In vitro fertilization? Well, that's a terrible idea. The federal government has no business funding anything like that, right? But whatever, at least that's a cheaper, terrible idea than anything Kamala might do. In vitro fertilization. I mean, I agree with you, Winston's mom. President Trump should not advocate in favor of free in vitro fertilization. And the federal government should not pay for that. If he gets elected, I don't doubt that he will try to do what he says. I have no idea what Kamala will do. Yeah, I know. The abortion topic settled at this point in terms of legal considerations. The Supreme Court correctly overturned Roe v. Wade on the grounds that it wasn't properly justified, which they should have overturned it on those grounds. In other words, it's not part of the enumerated powers of the federal government. So that was fine, right? The correct thing was done, and then you get to choose which state you want to be in. You can choose to live in California and get an abortion 5 minutes before you give birth. Or you can choose to live in Alabama and not be able to get an abortion at all. It's up to you. So, which is exactly what they should have done for multiple reasons, not just that it's unconstitutional, but additionally that the states are the incubators of democracy. When the populace is split on whether an idea is good or not, it ought to be in the state's purview accordingly, unless it's expressly stated in the Constitution and otherwise. Like enumerated powers does include the enumerated powers, the things that they are supposed to do. So like, but a lot of things in the Constitution are what they can't do, right? Remember, the Constitution doesn't say really what our rights are or anything like that. It says what the government can't do. Congress shall make no law, or the first words of the First Amendment. So we need to respect our founders. Their intellectual rigor has kept this country safe, free, and civil for about 200 years, right? 225 years, right? Like, is 26 the 250th? So let's call it 225 years. Let's subtract the last since 2001. Let's not include that section, okay? The thing is, everything, and we need to remember this, that everything that is troubling us, in general, we can try to find a link back and discover that it's because legitimacy was not addressed first. So legitimacy always needs to be addressed first. The reason it's wrong for Trump to advocate for the federal government to pay for in vitro fertilization is because it's not one of the federal government's enumerated powers. Okay? So once we've established that it's illegitimate, there's no further questions about whether it's a good idea based on its utility. It doesn't matter. We don't do illegitimate things. If you would like to accomplish something, you need to accomplish it in a legitimate way. The ends don't justify the means. That's a party matter, pretty cat, so there's nothing we can say about it, really. Like, the parties are in charge of the parties. As far as the primaries go, it's not that the federal government's election business at all. The federal government holds the election. The parties hold the primaries. The party can basically do whatever they want. As far as picking their candidate, there's nothing unconstitutional about it. I think that people should, within the Democratic Party, should say, what the fuck, why didn't we have a real primary? But, I'm not in that party, so I don't care.
So yeah, I'll talk about astrology, but I'm quitting it.
You're quitting astrology?
Yeah, because last night I was doing Chinese astrology compatibility between me and you, and it wasn't good, and it made me really upset. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit if it's making me upset. Like,
Yeah. And you know, maybe Chinese astrology is just saying we'll become incompatible after 6 years of being together. We could evaluate our
no,
5 years of data in
no.
determining our compatibility. And I think we'd see that we've proved very compatible for the last 5 years. Don't you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're a rat and I'm a pig.
No rats and pigs. I would have always gotten along with pigs, but
I thought Chinese astrology said it wasn't good.
no, it's the fucking whole. I went deep diving and
So it's like my pig is rising in my rat or something like that. Okay.
And I asked ChatGPT on a scale of 1 to 10, like what our Chinese birth charts were, and it gave us a 6.5, and I was like so upset.
Winston's mom, you were exactly right. I agree with you completely about Trump. He's a grifter, a P.T. Barnum, a charismatic demagogue. He's there to fool people into voting for him, etc. Right? You're completely right about him. And it's also the case that Kamala is evil, which is worse. Evil is worse. He's all those things, but and you know, he maybe even be like a little bit like looking out for number one first, for sure. He's like that. Like, you know, trying to get people to sign personal loyalty oaths to him when he's president. What a complete disaster of a fucking just ignoring everything decent, right? But remember, Kamala's evil and has ruined shit tons of people's lives for no good reason, and is proud of it. So remember that, right? She ruined many people's lives as hard as she could for not an adequate reason, for drugs and stuff, you know, and she's proud of it. So she's evil, well beyond Trump's scope of evil. Obviously, we shouldn't trust Trump to be anything but the horrible buffoon he is. But he didn't make a career of ruining people's lives as hard as he could for drugs and be proud of it. So it's a no-brainer, right? As far as character goes, which one has more character? Neither of them have positive amount of character. They're both in the negatives. Trump's like -10. Kamala is a solid -50, right? In terms of just pure evilness. And that's indisputable. You cannot say that prosecutors aren't evil, especially one like her who is pushing for, I'm sure prosecutors like to do this. They don't even get success in jury trials, right? What her success was, threaten this guy who accidentally bumped into somebody with attempted murder unless he pleads to simple assault. That's what she did. That's what she did. She got a bunch of people to go to jail for some amount of time so they wouldn't have to deal with her threat to send them to jail for many, many more years for a crime they did not commit. At least potentially, right? So we don't want to allow anybody that evil anywhere near the presidency. She is not a good person, right? She doesn't have either. She's either a sociopath, like completely lacks compassion, or is just so lacking in intuition that she doesn't get how fucked up everything she's doing is, right? So even though Trump's fucking nightmare, he's a known nightmare. Kamala, she's proud of ruining people's lives for nothing and making a career out of it. I mean, people like that should be tried for crimes, right? Like, okay, we've gone over your prosecutorial record and you overcharged all of these people. You threatened to overcharge all these people unless they pled to these things. That should be prosecuted as prosecutorial misconduct, but she will never see a day behind bars. She's happy to send shit tons of other people there, but she will never spend a day behind bars. I never even heard of her before Biden's vice presidency. I have no idea. I never heard of her at all. But I've seen her talk about her role as prosecutor. And it only took me 5 minutes to hear her talking to know that she is evil. And I didn't watch that until, a couple weeks ago or whatever. I had no idea she was even from California until Booty Cat mentioned it. Trouble, god damn it. Leave that lizard alone. I don't know if I can save you, but I will try. Ah! Scary lizard. Scary lizard ran away. Okay. Scary lizard ran away from me. Yeah, I'd never heard of her before she became Biden's vice presidential candidate. I knew nothing about her at all until a couple weeks ago. And Karl Rove wouldn't run that kind of ad, right? He'd run an ad slamming her for being too liberal in California, for sure. I mean, he'd be saying, well, actually, maybe you're right. Maybe he would run an ad saying she's too conservative, too hard on criminals or something. Maybe you're right about that. Depends, I guess, where he's aiming the ads. If he's aiming at Bay Area, it's different than Orange County, But regardless, I don't remember seeing any such ads. And obviously, I'm not influenced by ads like that, Winston's mom. I'm correct, remember? Political ads, I was influenced by Kamala's because I heard out of her mouth shit that's factually untrue and that she knows is bullshit. Like, there's an ad in California where she says, I believe the Constitution guarantees the right to an abortion for every woman. She cannot possibly believe that. It expressly does not. If she's trying to say she believes it's justified by something, if she's still saying that she believes it's justified by the right to privacy, she knows the Supreme Court has invalidated that ruling. If she's arguing that she believes it's guaranteed by the Constitution by some other thing, like the 10th Amendment, well, she's not made that argument, and the Supreme Court's never heard that argument, and certainly is not in the status quo the case that such does justify a constitutional right to abortion. So she's straight up fucking lying. She doesn't believe that, couldn't possibly believe that, because supposedly she understands law.
But like he lies too, though.
Oh yeah, you can't trust Trump at all. Trump is fucking horrible. Do not get me wrong. But what I'm saying is he's incredibly self-serving. He trusts his own shitty intuition, and he doesn't trust an objective deliberative process at all. He believes in delusions like, yeah, there were definitely 1 billion people at my rally the other day. He's just such a fucktard. He's a fucking tard,
Hey, Trouble.
So, but the thing is, he didn't make a career of destroying people's lives without adequate cause and via a totally unethical, immoral means.
Yeah, that's right.
And be proud of it. Yeah, I do kind of trust Trump to try to do what he says. And I also trust him to lie about other things. I trust him to do what he says and to lie about how things are and what happened, And he doesn't even know he's lying half the time, I don't think. Like, he probably believed he actually won that last election.
Yeah.
He wasn't, he genuinely believed it.
He definitely does.
And genuinely believed that the election was stolen.
Yes, he absolutely 100%
right.
does.
So he's deluded, right? He's not lying about that. He must lie sometimes, but I think most of the time when he's saying shit that's obviously factually untrue, he's just stupid and or deluded.
Yes, trouble. I see you.
So the fact is, Biden did not steal that election. Anybody with half a brain could see that Biden was going to win because he wasn't Trump, and it was during COVID, so he didn't have to actually do much electioning at all. It was basically what Kamala was trying to repeat Biden's strategy. If I can just hide until the election, you know, I get it. She's done some interviews, whatever. But think about me running for president. I would be, I would be doing every interview anybody could possibly ask of me. I'd answer every question accurately, correctly, and honestly.
Can I be the first white, like, or like, can I be the first wife to not always be there?
Yeah, you do you, man.
Okay, cool. Cause like all the, I don't have the.
I just feel like Rachel's not super down with the whole first lady thing. All right, she'll.
I am.
Oh, I'm just saying with the normal duties of a first lady.
Yeah, expect the new one.
Yeah, you're gonna get. In fact, we'll pitch it that way. Look, you're gonna get a better, different kind of
Genuine,
first lady.
honest.
The thing is, people don't even care anymore because Ivana Trump, it's like she's not a good first lady at all.
No.
Everyone's just like whatever.
I really want to do a White House tour like Jackie O did.
What I mean, but you'll be living there.
Yeah, but she brought in the cameras to like.
Oh, you mean give people a tour?
Yeah.
I thought you meant take a tour.
No, like so, like
You
on
want to give
TV
people.
and
No, I get it.
TV,
You want to be on like cribs.
Oh, that's like declassing it so much.
Well, I'm just trying to say that's kind of the concept of it, right? Like, here's a tour of my house.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Here's a tour of my house.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the best idea.
I think it's a great idea. I love house tours. I just misunderstood you at first. Like, you mean you wanted to go on a tour of the White House?
No. I haven't done that ever, but I feel the urge.
I feel the urge. Don't worry, baby. You'll be living there in 5 years, 4 years, and some days, or I don't know exactly how long. But just think about that, Winston's mom, and everybody. Compare against a legitimate alternative like me. Would anybody be able to accuse me of either a lifetime of wickedness like Kamala Harris, of delusion and or stupidity and or lying like Trump, and just his general everything you can think of that's bad about Trump that we already know about, which is shit tons of stuff. Imagine an interviewer asking each of the three of us a question. Who's going to give the best answer in every single instance, no matter how many questions they ask? Me. And by how large of a margin will it be better? Like 100 trillion miles. Because I will actually answer the question. I will afford it the seriousness it deserves, and I will know about it in full because I'm very informed. Can you whisper, Rachel?
No.
Whisper. I'm the whisperer in this family.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, would you like to hear me whisper? I'm here to whisper at you. I think I should have a whisper stream where I just whisper the whole time. Hey, everybody, okay, we're streaming right now. I don't want to talk too loudly because I'm whispering right now. But if you can hear me, just put something in the chat like I can hear you, okay? We have to be very quiet because we're whispering. volume, yes. This is a whispering stream, okay? Shh. Kitty. Shh. It won't whisper, okay? This cat is gonna... Oh my god. You're too loud. Someone's gonna hear you. We're whispering right now. Go ahead and eat your food. Silly kitty. I'm trying to teach my cat how to whisper. Some people say you can't really be a cat whisperer because they're too independent. So I've decided to teach my cat to whisper at me. This is what a cat whisper sounds like. Meow. A whispering meadow. Everybody wants to be in a whispering meadow with whispering aspen trees and whispering grasses, with a cat quietly eating its food and on our whisper fest. Camille, would you like to go outside? I can set you outside if you'd like. Trouble, stop looking at your sister like that. I'm sorry, lizard. Go on, get on. No, god damn it. Lizards need to not go near my cat so you don't get killed. Trouble, you get out of here. God damn it. That's the end of Whisperfest. God damn it. There's a lizard in here now. I've got to get it. It's behind the brisk lemon teas. Let me put some pants on. Trouble, you get out of here. Shoot. Come on. Move. Meow. Okay. No, you're not going to get that lizard. Why don't they just leave the lizards alone? God damn it. I don't want you to get the lizards. Or little birds, or little mice, anything. Just leave them alone. They didn't do anything to you at all. One day my cats will learn to leave the lizards alone. I just need to explain it to them better. I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Okay, Trouble, you're not getting that lizard, so just give up thoughts on that right now. If you're going back there, just forget about it. We're not getting lizards. I mean, I'm getting lizards, but you're not getting lizards. It's fine. This is a big-ass lizard here. Which makes me a little more scared to pick it up. I think I'm going to maybe try to pick it up with tongs. That's a good idea.
Where is it?
It's behind the lemon box. Oh, we have another thing of iced teas. That's good. I thought we were like out of drinks. Well, I'm going to put it outside once I get it. Yeah, it's alive. It ran behind that. It ran inside. Capilla was over here. It was like, I guess it was like under the door kind of or something. And then I opened the door, let Capilla out, and then the lizard ran inside. So the door's open so I can put it outside.
I see.
But this same lizard, I already saw trouble bothering it outside. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hey, Mr. Lizard.
Whoa.
Oh, maybe it's not. Yeah. Yay, run away to freedom.
There.
Good job, Eric.
Thanks, Rachel. I got the lizard with the tongs. That's a good. I'm gonna use this
That's a really
technique
good
again.
idea. Yeah, you
Yeah,
could do
that-
it with mice.
That's it. Yeah, I could use the tongs with all the little critters, so I don't have to worry about it. They get a little bit like when they move around, you know.
I know.
I jump like
know.
a squeal like a little girl.
It's adorable. I mean, I haven't been scared by one yet, but I know I will be. Now I'm gonna react the same way.
Do you want a half an Adderall to ease the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I said I wanted to get high today, so an Adderall addition would definitely add to that highness.
All right, here I'll give you.
I wasn't expecting one.
No, I know you weren't. I just see the darkness under your eyes and thought,
oh,
it might
well,
ease the
take a
fall.
half, then.
Okay, why don't you take a half and save the other half for tomorrow, and that'll ease the fall again.
How do I clip it in the back?
No, just breaks in half. I mean, you try it. See for yourself.
There you go.
It's easy to break in half, huh?
Yeah, it is.
No, I would never do that. I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, I'm gonna put the lizard in your face.
No way.
No, I don't like
it
that
was
stuff.
Cute.
That stuff.
And that lizard wanted to get away ASAP.
Yeah. I had already saved it from trouble outside. When I went outside to smoke a cigarette, trouble was bothering him right here. And then I went over there and shooed trouble away. But trouble had like just gotten to him, so he was still okay. And then he ran underneath here, like on the side over here. And then when I opened the door like a peel out, he ran into the house.
Oh, God.
So did Trump say that immigrants are eating our pets? What a fucking tard that guy is. If he said that, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, he definitely didn't.
I would believe it if he actually said, you know, immigrants, they come over here, they take our jobs, they eat our pets. I could believe him saying that.
Yeah, I could too.
Did he really say that? That figures. That sounds just like something he would say. What a fucking tard. It's like, hey people, they take your jobs, they fuck your wives, they eat your pets, they'll raise your children to be gay and go on, freak offs. I can imagine Trump saying whatever, The ducks and cats. Well, the immigrants are eating a lot of ducks. They probably assume they're not pets. They may be wrong, but Haitians are so hungry they eat each other. Well, that's fine. Immigrants are eating ducks? Okay. Immigrants are eating wild cats? Apparently, cat is not very good at all. Oh my goodness. You know what I wish the immigrants would do? I wish they'd go to Arcadia and eat all the peacocks. Those things deserve to be eaten so badly.
Are the A's playing today?
They already played.
They already played?
Well, I mean, I think the game's over now, yeah. Right where I have it paused, it's 2-0. You want me to put it on in the background? It's A's 2, Yankees nothing. I think it's over.
Oh, God. No.
Well, it's in the whatever inning, third inning or second inning or something,
Oh, okay.
where I have it paused. But I don't know what happened. It's currently 2-0 at the end of the first inning. Athletics 2, Yankees nothing. Do you want me to put it on?
Sure.
Okay. And then I just fast forward through the commercials. I hate when they have the alumni on. I don't want to hear you and some old athletic from the past, playfully banter. I want to watch a fucking baseball game. Fortunately, we don't have to hear it because we're just watching it in the background. I think Rachel and I are both in agreement that at least for the duration of this series, which I believe is one more game after today, even if I find myself rooting for the Athletics, I'm kind of hoping the Yankees win because Rachel and I are both hoping for a Dodgers-Yankees World Series.
Yeah, big time.
I'd love to see the Yankees hold on to the division lead, win the division. It would make an easier playoff run for them. So while I probably won't be able to root for the Yankees in this game, I am at least technically hoping that they win. Of course, in the bottom of the first inning, it was Soderstrom who got the main hit there. I don't know if it was a 2 RBI hit or not, but I think it was. It was 2 outs. So yeah, he got a 2 RBI, I think double. Shea Langolier scored and somebody else.
Oh, cool. Oh, A's are winning. I thought the Yankees were. That's good.
Oh, that's why I was highlighting the fact that at least technically we're kind of hoping the Yankees win in this game, even though I'm not going to be able to root for them really. But the thing is, I need to start looking forward a little bit, looking ahead a little bit to the postseason. Bam!
Damn!
There it goes. Well, nice job, Dominguez.
Yeah.
You did a nice job of hitting that.
It's 2-2 now?
Yeah, just that quickly. It's all tied up. So I'm gonna just kind of root for the Yankees at this point, and the Dodgers for the rest of the season.
And the Dodgers. I'm rooting for the Dodgers too.
Even though it's been a wonderful season, athletics. It's been a wonderful love affair with you this year, right? I've enjoyed your games a lot. Wow.
Nice catch, Butler.
Good job, Butler. But they are teeing off on Estes, aren't they?
Yeah,
he's getting good wood on that.
It's
Butler has to make a running catch on the warning track, and that means it was going fast. It wasn't hit very far away from him, but it went all the way there so fast because he got such good wood on it. Number 11 is up to the plate now, Volpe. Fortunately, it has his name up in the score thing. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd never know who he was.
Yeah.
Number 11 is Volpe. I can see the pitcher's name on the back of his jersey. It's Estes. Estes. It's mostly S's and E's with just a single T. Well, that should be an infield single. That shouldn't be an error. They should rule that a single. Okay. Let me look at my glasses so I can see what's going on here. I'm going to look over here and see. Bye, Jeremiah Fix. You're Detroit fans, huh? Comedy Flu. Time to close poll? Sure. Looks like his Diddy enthusiasm is a bigger crime than his cringe level lack of talent. What do you know?
Wait, what about his lack of talent?
I did a poll.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so.
Kevin Hart's worst crime is Diddy enthusiast, 69%. Cringe level, untalented, 30%.
I feel like I made the wrong choice, but I said that he was untalented.
That's the funnier choice. That's the more talented choice. Comedy Flu, I love you too, but I'm not your dad. Okay? I'm not. I'm your son. And you owe me a lot of back child support. Now that I'm an adult, I want you to pay all the child support you should have paid to my mom to me. That's fair. What's the latest on J-Lo and Ben? Asks Puttycat.
Last that we read, J-Lo's friends and family are worried about her drinking habits.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We just read that last night, huh?
Yeah, we did. So yeah, that's what's happening.
She's gonna find the cure to a broken heart at the bottom of a bottle. Funniness is not in any person. You don't get it, Manny John. It is true that you can create funny yourself, right? Like, I'm finding what I see here funny. Isn't it funny how that bird can't seem to decide which branch to get on or something? Or isn't it funny how this one time Corey and I were at the Arboretum in Los Angeles and we saw a, a water bird of some kind trying to eat a fish that was too big for it. He eventually did get it down.
Wow.
We watched and we were laughing and we got very invested in the whole thing. And when the bird finally successfully swallowed it, we cheered, like, yeah! It was so great, you know? So I get it that noticing interesting and cool things in the world is a great way to attain humor, right? To some extent, you can just find something funny. To some extent, you might additionally say some words about it that make it seem more funny or whatever. And that's great. And it's also the case that people can try to be funny and succeed or fail at that. So what I'm saying is when I'm watching somebody who tries to be funny, I want them to succeed at it and I want to laugh.
Yeah, for real. For real. You're getting paid for it.
So, see you later, Comedy Flu. You GTG yourself all the way to the Nobel Prize. Fred Durst needs to hook up with Britney Spears again. Mariah Carey needs to hook up with Eminem again. I don't think she's going to want to do that. Can a person try to be clumsy and therefore it's funny? No, I don't think physical clowning of that sort is funny. Almost never. So I'm definitely not a Three Stooges fan, right? In other words, like that's going to be ESTPs tend to find that funny, like physical humor like that, like punching someone in the face. Like ESTP comics like Adam Sandler.
Oh God.
Right? I don't find that stuff funny. It to me it's the absence of good writing. Clumsy can be funny. It's possible, but it's not good writing. We can acknowledge that, right? It's something else. It's physical clowning. I prefer funny, good writing, like well-written jokes, well executed and stuff. Well, I mean, man, John, I will search for whatever I want to. I look at YouTube videos. Sometimes I look for funny stuff. Sometimes I look for like things that have 10 different clips of paranormal stuff. Sometimes I look for videos on this Diddy shit. Sometimes I look for, I will look for sometimes funny stuff too, Manny John, and that's okay.
Vine was funny.
Rachel says Vine was funny.
Yeah, Vine used to have funny stuff.
And I would say that Airplane was funny when it came out. It's hard for me to gauge it because I've seen it too many times. Saw it a lot as a kid. it's got good writing. It's got a fair amount of good writing.
What is good writing?
Airplane.
Airplane's hysterical.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to still find it funny because I've seen it.
So many times.
I saw it as a kid so many times, and you can't. Comedy is the least rewatch capacity, right? Music has the most. Comedy ages the least well. Music ages the best.
That's true.
And nobody should dispute that because we all listen to music that was made a long time ago in movies and are taken by it all the time. Like many of the best scores of movies have some, classical song in it, like by Mozart or Beethoven or Bach or whatever, one of the great masters.
Nicely done.
Nice catch. When I heard Moonlight Sonata in The Eminence and Shadow, I was just taken by how incredibly beautiful it is. It's an incredible composition, and it gives you chills. It doesn't matter that it was written a long ass time ago at all, because music has that weird identity. Why do I not? Where? There it is. Keep grabbing the wrong bottle. Where's the lid for this though? Oh, there it is. So I'm just gonna give you some of these for like the rest of the month, and then you figure out how you want to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9.
That's plenty.
There.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, funny stuff. Airplane. Airplane is got great lines written in it. Like, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. All the gags with the guy who was like, I picked a bad week to quit smoking. He just keeps escalating on the thing. I picked a bad week to quit shooting heroin.
I forgot about that part.
And the main character has a drinking problem. Yankees just hit another hot rod. Do you remember what the main character's drinking problem was?
Spilling?
Yeah, he tried to drinking, pour it on himself.
Yeah, I relate to that.
It's a good movie.
It is. It is a good movie. My dad introduced me to that movie.
I like the part where the pilot starts critiquing Kareem about his basketball play, and then they show him and he's in his Lakers uniform, and he says, "I bust my butt out there every night." It's a good like meta thing from the time period,
Yeah.
At first, they just cast Kareem as the co-pilot, and then suddenly in the middle of the movie, he turns into Kareem for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta put my glasses on. I cannot read that. You either need to type bigger, or I don't know. Here. Safe to assume Eric did not like the Jackass movies. Did not even see them. Was so disinclined towards any of that stuff that I did not even see them. Why is it called Funny Bone? Because it's not a real bone at all. In fact, it's not a bone at all. It would be funny to call it a bone. Funny isn't strange. So I think it's really the strange, not bone. Does my mom know I'm gay? I hope she does, because she's dead. And if she doesn't know now that I'm gay, she never will. Listen, kid, I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walden and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes. Tell your old man. That's funny. Great, Buddy Cat. Thank you for providing the quote.
That is a great quote,
Yeah.
especially with Walton too. Like,
I'm so happy to know that there's a Bill Walton reference in
me
there.
too.
Yeah, good stuff. So that movie was good, but then it came out. I watched a YouTube video about this. Somebody like watched all of the Leslie Nielsen movies that came out after Airplane and Naked Gun. So like Airplane was, I think, the first movie to feature Leslie Nielsen in a comedy role like that. And then I think it was Naked Gun, which was also very funny. The first one of those, I thought when I saw it. I don't know if I still think it was funny or not. But then he went on to make a series of horrible knockoffs of Naked Gun. Like he just took whatever anybody offered him or something, no matter how bad it was. And somebody on YouTube watched them all and talked about why they were so terrible, each of the ones that were bad, or if they were really so terrible, Some of them were better than others. I don't remember exactly what they were called or anything. It was basically a study on how to do that well and how a failed imitation of doing that well looks. And what it comes down to, of course, is the writing. Oh, he's not bothering anyone. Let him stay here, Roger. But just remember, my name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot, says Kareem.
Trump thinks he could do stand-up comedy. He probably thinks he's the funniest guy in the world.
If I did stand-up comedy, I'd be the best comic in the world. I'd get the best people to write me the best material. I'd be the best. I'm the best and the most beautiful and the richest and the finest. I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. It's really Trump's song. His whole stick is basically, I'm rich, I'm the best, I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
I think you're the greatest. Dad says you don't work hard on defense. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down the court and that you don't really try, except during the playoffs.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then the line is, listen, kid, I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out here busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes. Good. We got the whole scene. Thank you, Putty Cat. Appreciate it. Appreciate the quotes. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah, well, I don't believe in comedy, political comedy. Because obviously that stimulant use disorder. What's stimulant use disorder? Start your recovery journey. Explore and choose. Choose changecalifornia.org. National Recovery Month. Recovery, hope, healing. Sponsored by the California Department of Health. Well, thanks, California Department of Health. I'm so glad our tax dollars are being spent encouraging people to recover from opioid and stimulant addiction. Thanks a lot. That's very helpful. I'm sure lots of people will be like, you know what? That ad convinced me. I'm going to quit opioids and stimulants. Thanks, California. I mean, come on. Just, I get it. Opioid addiction is a problem, right?
Yeah.
I get that. And, some people have a problem with meth, but realistically, I think the people who have a problem with meth should probably be prescribed meth. It is a prescription drug. Why is it that we want to throw people in jail if they're doing meth that they got from somebody random, but it's fine for them to get to have it if they get it from a pharmacist? you know,
It makes no sense.
it really doesn't make any sense. Um, and it's like obviously if you're smoking meth that you get in the streets, it's going to be less sustainable as a reality for you than something where you actually can measure your dosage a bit and stuff, right? And probably it's not good for your lungs to smoke meth, I'm assuming. It doesn't feel good for your lungs, I'll tell you that. It feels like your lungs are coated in meth.
Can I take a bong rip?
Of course, darling. Where's the bong? That darn bar of mine has God never walked away. Huh. Well, that's a mystery.
Yeah, it is.
Normally, I have the bong right here.
Maybe you took it in the kitchen?
Here, bongy, bongy, bong. Probably I had it in my hands and then a lizard stuff
That's what I was thinking.
But I don't see it anywhere. Could I have put it outside? That sounded good.
She sounds so good. Yeah, they both do.
Let's make you want to, like, do one of those, like, two-steppy dances where the people stand in a line.
Yeah.
What, the country line dancing?
It's a nice addition to the first day of fall.
That's the first day of fall?
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful day, too. It's going to be in the 90s this week.
I know you said.
According to the weather forecast. No, it ain't no lie.
Who's Gavin? One has to wonder who is worse, Kamala or Gavin.
Oh, Gavin was a previous governor. I mean, Kamala is worse. Because Gavin is just... It's just like a regular shitty politician person. Kamala's evil.
Hey! You sound great!
I actually think she said, like, come on over here or something, but I'm not sure if she did, so I'm not sure what to do about it.
Maybe we should.
She looked like she waved us over there. But I don't know if I feel comfortable if I interpreted that correctly. So let's. I don't hear anything else. So.
Sorry, did I mess
Hi,
up
dog.
I feed there?
No, I couldn't. It was at a distance. You and she were talking at the same time. I couldn't quite make it out, So I'm not sure what to do. But let's go look at the weed plants, and then maybe we'll walk down the road a bit and talk to them, ask them some questions or something. Look at this first. Let's go ask her. I'm just going to yell a couple questions over there. See if I can initiate some further contact. Careful of what?
Walking?
Be careful of poop, too. You could sort of stay up here if you want.
I feel like I should not be wearing these shoes.
Yeah, well, I'm not wearing great shoes either. Hey! We can come over? Did you say? All right, cool. We'll be right over. I'm going to end stream. So we can go hang out with the neighbors a little bit. Okay, let's end the stream. Thanks for being here, everybody.